All right, welcome back to another Monday Night Storm King's Thunder. After we missed a session, we're back and ready to play some Dungeons and Dragons tonight. We are going to pick up where we left off, just outside of Long Saddle, where our group is awaiting we're kind of on their airship, getting ready to decide where they're going. If you missed any of the episodes, you can always check them out over on SirLucien's Twitch channel. The VODs are typically there, and that's just twitch.tv/SirLucien. Or you can also check them out on YouTube, which is also, you can go to youtube.com/SirLucien, Lucien. You'll also find it there. And this should be, I believe, episode 57. So there's lots of episodes there for you to catch up on if you wish. But our group is together, and we're going to go ahead and start our adventure off. So we ended up having just as a quick thing, one of our players' PC has failed them, and it's going to be a little bit before that PC can be repaired, probably weeks or maybe even a month or more months. So PB will not be able to join us until she's able to get her PC repaired. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and say that Ian, our ranger, has decided to track and shadow Finn and Coffee, who left the group the day before on some urgent mission, and she decided that she was going to go try to catch up to them after she had a bad feeling that something wasn't quite right. And so she ended up heading out to find them. So hopefully once PB's computer's back up and running, we'll weave her back into the narrative, we'll bring her back into the game, and we'll be able to continue Storm King's Thunder's storyline with once she's back. So hopefully she can get that fixed, but we're not sure how long it'll take, so we'll just see how that goes.
Will she be taking the other stone?
No, you guys could have the stone.
Do we want to vote to give her the stone? So she knows where to catch up with us later?
Either way is fine. Yeah, I mean, she's going to be able to get back with the group no matter what, whether she has it or not. Once she's back in line, we'll definitely have a way to bring her back.
Okay.
All right, so starting off, we are just outside of Long Saddle. We can say everybody had a long rest. The airship is probably a mile or two to the north of Long Saddle, just over to the west side of the long road. Typically, the airship doesn't put down near the towns thus far, not knowing what kind of reception they will get, so that's why it's a little bit further up. And that's where we will kind of join the group as our camera kind of pans in, and we see our group boarding this airship, which I'm not sure has been given a name quite yet. Although maybe Greybeard tried to give it a name in the last session.
Yeah, we joked back and forth, but nothing stuck. So it still is in need of a name. It was like Nod, and Greybeard said something outrageous, and I can't remember what it was, but nobody seemed to bite on it. So we still have that to go.
Okay. And I'm noticing Discord sounds a little poppy tonight, so I don't know if they're having trouble with their servers or whatever's going on, but everybody's mic seems a little off. And I noticed I had a little trouble signing in when I signed in, so might be a little audio quality going on there, but we'll work through it. So, all right, and Rex said he'd join us in a few minutes, so he should be here anytime. But with that, our camera pans in on the deck of our airship, the big red balloon above it filled with air. Deckhands are moving around and prepping for departure, basically getting it ready to move in direction, and the captain is at the helm awaiting the orders of the group, who are standing on the deck as the camera then zooms in close to them, and we'll go ahead and start. So what does the group want to do? Where's the group headed?
We were headed after the Weevil, I thought.
I thought we were heading to take that bounty.
Yeah,
And Thor's
that's
Keep.
it. You're right. That's the Weevil. So that's it. Sounds good.
I'm in agreement.
It's horrible.
Agreed.
Hey, Captain, we're headed to Xantharl's Keep. If you'd please.
All right, yeah, so you see Delphine give you the nod, and you see her begin to start wheeling the what you recognize as a ship's wheel, and it still somehow controls the airship, and she starts spinning it around, and you can hear the creak of the leather in the air balloon above you as the ropes kind of draw taut, and the ship slowly begins to rise and also begins to move northward as you begin to climb into the sky. All right, so air traveling over the deck, and it's still cold at this point in the seasons. And as you get higher up, it definitely gets colder, but you have begun to head north and making your way along the road. They're kind of using the road as a guide, but they are moving quite quickly in the airship.
Jarral is gonna find somewhere in like the exact middle of the airship, preferably somewhere where he cannot see the horizon.
I'm gonna walk around the ship and try to engage conversation with the crew. How many people are crewing the ship?
You have counted somewhere around 8, although they seem to take shifts, so half of them they kind of do like 12-hour shifts throughout the day, and so you only ever see half of them working the ship at one time, and then the other ones are down in there's some small rooms down below. To show you the ship, I don't know, was there a handout? There might have been a handout for that.
I think there was a picture.
Yeah, I think there was.
Yeah, there should be. Somewhere.
Airship. Chapter 4, The Chosen Path.
Yeah, there you go.
Dragon Cult Airship.
Just show everybody in our audience there what that looks like. There we go. All right. So, yeah. So you see, currently there's Ardreth. There is the captain Delphine is at the helm. You see, there's one of the deckhands is up in the crow's nest that's up above the balloon, which you can't see them. The balloon kind of extends out far enough that you can't see up above it. And then you see 2 other deckhands that are at the front and at the very back of the ship, and it looks like they're providing basically kind of like a lookout. Or actually, you only see one other one. One is below decks, working the mechanisms.
Well, I'd walk over and start to the top, try to talk to the captain while we travel then.
Okay, yeah. So you get a nod as you kind of walk up, and she has her hands resting on the actual wheel. Has all the spokes on it, just like you would see on a ship. And she keeps her eyes to the horizon, but gives you a nod as you kind of walk up.
So, Captain, how long have you been captain of this fine ship?
Keeping her eyes kind of scanning the horizon, she mentions to you, and she has to speak up a little bit just because the way the wind rushes by, so it's a little bit louder when you talk to each other. And she says that this ship, I've only been captaining now for about a month, I was given this mission to bring it to you from our benefactor, but I have crewed airships quite often before this.
Oh, so your maiden voyage as a captain.
She gives you a nod as she continues working the steering mechanism.
And does this calling go back in your family for generations, or are you new to it?
She gives you kind of a harsh laugh and says, no, my family were farmers. And she says it with disgust.
And I'll just stay on the bridge for a little while and look around and enjoy the journey for a bit.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Let's see. Oh, yeah, so it's in your first day of travel then as you head out. Let's see, it's going to take about... yeah, it's not too far off, so... All right. So about probably 8 hours go by. You've not seen anything off the horizon. You've seen storm clouds above, but they have not. No rain has happened. They seem to be much higher than what you're flying at. The ground kind of moves at a leisurely pace below you, but kind of you're kind of seeing it from such a high altitude that it's a pretty novelty thing for some of you who've not been on an airship before or have not traveled through the air very often. Some of you kind of remember back to the Cloud Castle when you've traveled with Zephyros, and Zephyros traveled quite a bit higher than this airship is at the moment. They keep it probably at a midway point between where you were used to with the air castle versus this airship. But it does move at a pretty good clip, and about 8 hours goes by, so everybody would have another long rest if they needed it. Not that you guys would. And we'll move you guys, let's see, and move us to about here. And at that point, about 8 hours later, who would be on deck near the captain by that point?
Probably Edram still. He's been watching for any more griffin attacks from the east.
Okay.
And also, Greybeard is just in love with the airship. He's trying to learn everything he can.
Yeah, you can actually. I believe, let's see. I try to find where it is. There's a check you can make to see how well you're learning by just watching. If I can find it again. I know I read it. I want to say... okay, so yeah, I think you can roll...
I do have proficiency vehicles water, if that helps at all.
Well, what you're trying to figure out, you've clearly realized that what's making it move is a magical means. And
cool.
So it's not just physics that they're doing it with. Nope, that's the... there is a harpoon on the front. There's a ballista. I know there... all right, well, I'm just going to... we'll say you can do a perception check. So go ahead and give me a perception check as you've been watching this throughout the couple of weeks that you've been on board. Yeah. And you kind of, you understand the ship-like parts, but the idea that there's a balloon above you and something makes you move forward, even though the wind may not be moving in that direction, still has you baffled at this point. Okay. Though you can try again at a later date and to see if you can finally pick up on what's going on.
Right.
To the point where you would be able to be a crew member. I mean, you could in an emergency, steer it one way or the other, or, probably rudimentarily get it down. But to be an efficient crew member, once you make that check correctly, you'd be able to be like a crew member.
Sweet. Because I do have the sailor background.
Sure.
Hey, a real quick mechanics question. You said Flame Weaver was a flame tongue, but does it do any extra damage, or?
Yeah, it does exactly the same thing that the flame tongue does. Yep.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right, because I forgot to add the +1 to it, and then I realized that it didn't have the damage on that, so I'm typing it in now. Sorry, just wanted to double check.
Okay. So Edram, you hear Delphine call out to you and kind of wave you over, and she kind of waits till you come over.
Okay, I will head over there. And
Yeah.
she is the other captain?
She's the captain, the normal captain. Every now and then the first mate will take over, which is Nizroth, but right now Delphine's been at the helm during the journey.
Okay.
And she says to you, we're probably about an hour from where we should see this place you're looking for. How shall I approach?
This place doesn't have a dock or anything for it. I guess set down to the south and we'll walk our way north.
Edrim nods. He doesn't know anything about Xantharal's Keep or what it would kind of a reputation it has.
Okay. And she kind of nods to both of you that are there then, and you see she begins to slowly descend as she's kind of calculating how far they're moving forward and how where they're going to bring you towards the ground. And then she asks, once we set down, what would you want us to do?
I will say this and then we'll concur if we need to, but GB would like well,
yeah, we'd say you and Edram are there at the moment.
Okay. How about hover about until we return?
All right, she gives you a nod.
And I say to Edram, hey, don't we have one of those sendy stones we can spare?
I thought Ardreth had those.
Well, once we get there, we'll give one to the captain here.
I think the only stone I have is a lion.
Actually, you have two of them now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. 2 lions. There you go.
Yep. And then one of us had the sending stones.
Gotcha.
And then, Delphine kind of looks to you and says, I'm worried that if we would be near the long road, that we would be seen anytime that, we're kind of a sitting target in the air. Things can see us from miles away that we might not see. How far off the road do you want to be when we set down?
I'll leave it to your discretion, Captain.
All right. So another hour will go by, and she's going to put you guys down quite a ways away from the road. And she's only hovering the airship. She's not actually going to set down. But she came in low enough that you guys didn't see Xanathar's Keep. You're still probably, let's see. Let's get this right. We want to make it about probably a 2-mile walk, so we'll get you that close. Like that. All right, so you guys are about a 2-mile walk to the north. You should see Xanathar's Keep. You're about a mile off the road, and she brought it in low to not, because when you're in the air, you can see things for quite a ways, up to 11, 12, even further miles, depending on how well the day is. So it brought in low so that they wouldn't be seen. They dropping you guys off, and they start unrolling the rope ladders over the side as they're hovering off the ground by about 20 feet.
All right, fellas, let's go. Get her to Weevil.
All right, I'll go up and over the edge.
All right, yeah, it's
By
DC
rope
check.
ladder, of course.
Yeah, and you can use athletics, or you can use a strength check if you don't have athletics.
Oof, ouch.
We're all rolling athletics?
Yeah, well, unless you're staying on the ship.
Nope.
I took athlete, but I don't have athletics.
Oh, that's
That's
strange.
the skill.
You would think you would get that. Yeah, so everybody's climbing down, and only you see Ardreth, who misses a rung, and he slides down about 4 or 5 before he catches himself again. And you get a little bit of rope burn on the hand, but nothing serious, and maybe a little pulled muscle, but you kind of wipe the sweat from your forehead as for a second there you thought you were going to drop the 20 feet. But you catch yourself, and then you're the last one that makes it down. All right, you see a wave from Delphine, and you hear an ominous rumble from within the airship again, and it begins to lift and start moving towards the west a little bit as it starts to gain some altitude to get it away from the ground. So you guys are sitting in kind of like a meadowy grasslands. You don't see too much. You're kind of in the valley of some hills, but you know Xanathar's Keep should be to the north of you.
I will transform into a lion shape, and I'll start scouting around the area.
Okay, so we see Edram shift into his lion form and then move off into the grasslands.
Greybeard looks at our remaining companions and realizes that he doesn't think any of them are the scouty type. And so he says, "Shall we be off?"
Jarral seems a little more chipper. He's going to say, "We shall."
All right. And then he starts lumping north.
All right, so with our new group composition, let's get our walking marching order when you're traveling north. So we have the old picture, but let's edit that. Let's remove that, and we'll just put it in the notes here. So marching order wise, how is the group situated?
So I'm just going to say Greybeard does not have proficiency in perception, and I have an 8 wisdom. I'm more than willing to be out front, but I will not see anything coming.
Yeah, Jarral will go up front.
Actually, hang towards the back.
I'll follow behind Jarral.
Say that sounds good then, and then me, and then Edram's gonna kind of be out and about, and then Ardreth in back.
Yep.
All right.
Jarral will probably go out about 100, maybe 30, 40 yards ahead of the group, and just kind of scout around. Just kind of keeping an eye and make sure there's nothing in the surprises. Are we on a road, or are we just in the wilderness, or on a path, or?
You're currently sitting in kind of the shallow depression between some hills and a grassy field.
Okay.
We started off north.
Okay. So let me save the changes there to our marching order, so everybody should be able to see that. All right, so you guys are it's about an hour walk till you're going up and down some hills, and it's still grassland that's up to about probably about your calves or even up to your knees at times. You see trees every now and then, but they're very sparse. There's not really any forest or anything like that. And after about walking for an hour, Edram is probably the first one to get a look. As you come up over a hill, you see Xanathar's Keep out in the distance, kind of a shadow, but you can tell it's a walled town kind of looking thing. It is starting to get towards almost near sundown, as you've traveled most of the day, used up most of your daylight throughout the day, and sun will probably go down in about an hour or two.
Are we gonna make it by nightfall?
Yeah, you'll be there within moments, and then the rest of the group will end up coming up, kind of cresting the hill, and you get your first look at the kind of off in the distance. It's kind of dark during the wintry months, so you get that kind of early nightfall, and kind of twilight hangs around for a lot longer than normal. So you can see off in the distance kind of the outlines of the walls. Even though you can't quite see any detail, you're probably still a couple hundred yards out on this hill that you're on. But you can see Xanathar's Keep.
Now, is it Xanathar's that has the underground dwarf community? Or is it Mirabar? I can't remember.
Mirabar has an underground dwarven city.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So
the humans live on the surface and the dwarves live underneath. Yeah.
Okay.
So what you see as you crest the hill is like basically a fortified village, kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's on the west side of the road, and it's a pretty rugged stretch of the long road, as you can see it now as you've gotten closer. The outer wall, you can make out details of heavy crossbows mounted to the battlements, and it encloses a keep that's sheltered by a steep roof that looks like it can shed snow. Surrounding the keep are dozens of narrow stone houses with heavy shutters and steep roofs of their own. Is kind of what you see as you begin to approach, and you guys are heading towards Xanathar's Keep.
So we're looking for the Weevil, and there's a bounty on his head. What else? What other information do we have? Anybody remember? He's a dwarf.
I think you guys that were a part of the northern group probably have more information on that.
You guys? No, it's just me. Yeah, so I think if I'm remembering correctly, he's a dwarf. His nickname is the Weevil, and there's a bounty of 5,000 coin on his head. And
did it say where to find him?
Last seen here in Xanathar's Keep.
Do we know who he associates with, or anything beyond that?
Nope. Just last known whereabouts. And I can't remember his crime either, so that's a bad thing.
5,000 coins, that's all that now matters.
PB just chimed in chat. You guys got this job in Tribor. He is a dangerous criminal who is wanted by some important people from Waterdeep.
Excellent. We love you, PB. We miss you.
Yeah, you guys, you would have first heard about them in Tribor. And then you did find a flyer later on that also mentioned it, but it was also a person that you had talked to one of the NPCs that one of you had played.
Okay.
If I go back to that, let's see. Who was this guy? Yeah, you guys heard it from Dars Helger, was the one that told you about it.
Aha.
Oh, good old Bars.
We miss you, Dars. We love you. I mean... All right. Awesome.
Okay, so as we, if we're going to enter the city, then Jarral's going to not lead. He's gonna move back into the group.
And I once we get close, like we can see the gate and stuff, GB will grab up Ardreth's arm and sort of push forward. And Rex, you're human, right?
Yes.
And you're kind of dashing.
Define dashing like
Charismatic.
No, not really.
Okay. All right. I will give you a look like you want to be up front with Ardreth as we come pushing our way up the party order.
I'll shrug and say, sure, why not?
All right. So I let them go first, and I'll kind of back them up from behind them.
Jarral's still gonna keep an eye out for anything untoward, I guess.
And Edram will resume human shape as we approach the gate.
Yeah. So as you kind of get into the surrounding stone buildings that kind of surround the keep area, most of it looks like it's shuttered for the evening. You can see lights that are obviously inside where people habitate some of these. Some of them are businesses. Some of them are dwellings, just houses that people will live in. As you kind of make your way towards the actual keep, which has kind of a gatehouse to it. The gate appears to be opened at the moment, but the portcullis is down, so the bars are in the lowered position, and you can see a regular kind of guard watch that walks the walls. They're kind of dark shadows at this point as light has begun to fade, and it's just kind of a twilight, so you're not picking up a lot of detail. But it looks like it's a town that's kind of, as the sun has fallen, people have went indoors to get out of the cold.
Well, okay, and can we just walk in?
There are the bars are down, even though the gate doors are open, but the portcullis is down. And you're probably 40 or 50 yards from it at this point.
Oh, okay. All right. I kind of keep nudging the group forward.
Okay. So as you get closer, you do see that there's a guard on the wall who sees you approach, and lining the walls are the crossbows mounts, and it kind of sees your group coming up to the keep and yells out down to you from the top of the wall, "Hail there! Who goes?"
And I nudge Ardreth. You're up.
I'm like, it's your kind, dwarf. Why don't you talk to him?
No. These are people. It's
they're
Mirabar.
people.
Yeah, they're all
Sorry.
humans that you see thus far.
Ardreth just looks kind of tongue-tied. Over at
Tongue-tied
Jarral, over
bard.
at Edram. It's exactly a tongue-tied bard at that point. I'm trying to figure out a good excuse to get into this place.
Yeah, and he kind of
Jarral-
looks from one to the other and is like, kind of waves over to one of the other guards and is like, "Are you daft? Can you not hear me? What business do you have at the keep?"
And
I think we should
Jarl's
know
gonna
the
mumble so
backstory
that
first.
Jarl's gonna mumble so that Ardreth can hear it, and he's gonna say that we are travelers, we are tired, and we are on the mission from Waterdeep.
A mission from Waterdeep.
No, he's only saying that so that Ardreth can hear it.
Oh, gotcha. Yep. All right. They're waiting for your response.
We've been off wandering, walking up the road, and we've been traveling for over a week now, and we're looking for a place to rest our weary heads.
Says, "Well, you passed the inn and the keep. They're not going to put you up here at the keep." And you see him kind of start to rub his hands together as his spear kind of leans against the battlement, and he's getting the blood flowing and stamping his feet.
And I say to the companions, so we should just go to the inn for now, right?
And I'll start walking off towards the inn with my head kind of bowed low.
Okay. So looking at some of the buildings, you're kind of trying to spot it, and it seems like there was a building that you passed that you now think is probably the inn. You can hear it. It looks like it's a building that has had a recent fire, but they have begun to rebuild it, and it looks like even maybe the sign had been damaged, so it's not been put back up. So when you guys walked past the first time, you didn't quite see it or notice the sign itself. But you feel like you find what appears to be the sounds of an inn. One of the ones that sounds more like that you can hear people in it versus the other dwellings seem to be people's homes.
My kind of place. And I'll open the door, look in, and then like shuffle, kind of do like a hand wave, like get in there so I can get some beer.
Okay. Yeah, so you enter in, and there are a few patrons in here, and you can see that this building here is like a wood frame structure built basically kind of on the remains of an older stone structure that must have been here, and it's clear that must have been the building that had been damaged, and then they tried to build over the top of what was left of the stone structure that was here. With the stables are kind of near there. You get the smell of horses and hay and stuff pretty close to it. As you walk in, it is clearly a very typical tavern inn. And you see a big hearth with many tables and chairs. Some of them are taken by what look to be like farmers or city folk. A few people sit up at the bar. And behind the bar, you see a female half-ogre who is cleaning a glass and eyeing you warily as your group kind of comes in out of the cold, and you hear one of the tables that's kind of near you, "Hurry up and shut that door, it's cold out there," as you guys are filing in.
I've got my big fur cap on with the ear flaps, and I'll pull it off and walk towards the half orc, and I'll say, "Hail! Ale and mead and sausages and gravy for the lot of us."
All right, and as you're saying that, she is a half ogre, just in case you missed that.
Ogre.
Yeah, and as you walk up, you're like staring up 7 foot tall, massive female half ogre. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and take our first break. And when we come back, we'll go ahead and see what happens here in the tavern with our group. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We have plenty of adventure to go. And we'll be right back.
I literally had no clue how.
All right, let's jump back into the tavern, and just as a reminder to our players, the flyer that you had seen, this is what it had read. It said, "Let justice be done. The Marquion of Mirabar hereby offers 5,000 gold pieces for the capture of the brigand Weevil Forkbeard, known from Luskan to Mirabar as the Weevil. Last seen around the mines of Mirabar, the Weevil is wanted for theft and murder. He is armed and dangerous. Deliver him to the Axe of Mirabar to receive payment," is what the flyer had said.
Deliver him. That's a vague concept.
Well, hey, dead or alive. We can deliver him.
Well, our paladin or cleric can, revive him or revivify him or resurrect him or whatever that. Oh, we don't have a paladin anymore.
So we swing back into our scene of this half-ogre who sees Greybeard come in and looks at you and says, "Well, if your coin's good, you can eat and drink here, short one."
All right, gorgeous. And he reaches in and lumps electrum pieces on the counter. Say 6 of them.
Okay. So she picks each one of them up, and you see her use her gigantic kind of molar teeth to check each one of them as she looks at you, and you get the idea that she thinks you're kind of shifty. And then grabs them and smiles and says, "Throwing some wealth around. Must be adventurers then." And then she turns and grabs some mugs and begins to pour out of this giant kind of cask that's behind the bar area, and yells to one of the servers to bring some food from the kitchens. And you see one of them kind of scurry off that has an apron on, and they go scurrying off to fetch food. And she sets the mugs down, and her hand kind of dwarfs the mugs that she's setting down, but they're pretty good size. They hold probably like about a pint or so of what looks to be like a good strong ale. Sets it down on the bar across from you.
I start sliding them across, or I grab them up as best I can and carry them back to hopefully where my friends have sat at a table.
And while we eat, I'm gonna start playing some music. How many people are in the inn?
You see about a handful, half dozen,
Okay.
maybe a little more.
I'm gonna do my best to read the crowd and start to play a couple of different songs to see what they seem to pay the most interest in.
Awesome. So let's see how well you can judge it. Let's do a persuasion roll or performance. Probably performance. Oh, persuasion's good though. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, you're able to kind of read the crowd. You kind of know the northern area. You know songs that are quite popular once you start to get close to the mountains, and maybe even some songs from Mirabar that you recall. And yeah, you're able to. Several of the patrons seem happy that there's good music playing, and you're playing it really well. And you can even tell, like you're feeling the music yourself. You're like, everything's really clicking. It's been a while, but everything's sounding really well. The acoustics in the room are great. All right, so
I'll play for a while.
Yep, go ahead.
And then once I play for a bit, I'm actually going to start to go over to the other patrons and start to ask just some vague questions here and there about the village or the keep and the town and the area, and try to subtly work into the conversation to find out where the staff of the keep tend to live.
As he's going around doing this, I'm just going to kind of watch people's reactions to see if they get kind of nervous or walk out real quick after he's done talking to them.
Okay.
We know what he looks like, right? We have his picture was on the wanted poster.
You kind of saw, it was like a crude sketch, but I would not call it a detailed picture whatsoever.
So from that, Jarral's gonna just gonna scan the room to see if there's, probably not. It's probably in the keep, but just to see if there's anything. He's not. He suggests to any of the guys to maybe describe this guy or. Actually, let me ask you this. So, does Jarral get the feeling that this is like an open place, or are people kind of shifty toward him?
Let's see. Now, you kind of notice that most of them aren't paying attention to you at this point. They are listening to the music. Most of them are keeping to themselves. It seems like a tavern where, you know, people aren't interested in getting into other people's business. So you're not really seeing anything that, you know, any hostility towards you.
Okay, then I'm going to just listen to conversation, specifically if there's anything, any newish developments or anything, you know, that sort of thing.
Okay. All right, so yeah, Ardreth, you're kind of wandering around, and again, you're kind of just talking to random people, and mostly what you pick up is that, you know, Xantharl was a well-known ranger in this area that explored the north and is the one that built this keep. And let's see. But currently, the Lord of Xanthar's keep is Narbek Horn. He's the one that has the keep, and he runs the garrison that's there. And you find out that there's actually more soldiers in the keep than what are actually even in the village. You kind of suss that out after talking to a few people. So apparently it's a pretty big garrison of veteran soldiers that stay at the keep, which quite a bit outnumbers the actual village population. But you don't really find too much else out about it. Everybody else keeps to themselves. You know, you might get some names from some people. You get some of the people that they kind of make their money off of the garrison, so they do a lot of work for the garrison. So it might be stuff that helps with either feeding the garrison or repairing equipment, or merchants that travel and bring things, blacksmiths to do horseshoes and those kinds of things. But it's not a lot of farmers or a lot of any of the other type of, not like a normal kind of village that you would be at. It looks like it's one that's here to kind of support the garrison.
Does Narbek Horn have a title?
They just call him, yeah, they just call him Lord Horn.
All right, good to know.
And that's about as much as you find out. Kind of work in the group, work in the crowd.
So, you know, it's important to me as a player. What kind of food comes to the table?
It would just be, it looks like it's a stew that's been cooking most of the day and hunks of bread. It doesn't look like there's a lot of variety to it. It seems pretty standard fare. It's definitely nice and warm.
Better than rations. And I dig in.
And then as far as though you're trying to listen to conversations that aren't near your table, most of the people are speaking in hushed tones for the most part. You're not really picking up any conversation other than people talking about their day. And then give me 1 second. I'll be back in just a moment. While you guys decide what you're going to do, we can keep going. But give me a moment.
So, what do you guys think?
Well, I'm trying to figure out a way where we could find him outside of the keep, because it feels like getting in is going to be a lot more complex than if we can find him outside the walls.
Yeah.
But it looks like nobody's willing to share where they live.
I'm thinking, as the proprietor, maybe she would, maybe she knows something. I don't. I think she's already kind of shifty on you, Greybeard.
Yeah. So you're gonna go talk
It's
to her.
because she likes him. She's got a big crush on Greybeard.
Maybe.
I'm sensing that vibe, man.
All right, I'm back.
I'm thinking that she might be more, kind of as an outsider, she might be more willing to talk to Jarral.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right, I'm back.
Okay. Jarral, maybe?
Oh, all right. So Jarl's kind of been watching the room and listening, and does it look like crap, I can't remember her name.
Always a great way to start with a girl.
Yeah, I know, right? The ogre, the half ogre.
Mm-hmm.
What was her name?
You've not heard her name.
Oh, all right. That's why I didn't remember it. So I get the sense that she's kind of buzzing around the room, just kind of tending to the customers. Does it look like?
No, you see that she kind of stays behind the bar. There are servers with like people with some aprons on that move between some of the people, and also for Rex. As you saw Ardreth speaking to people, you did not see anybody all of a sudden like leave their table. In fact, nobody left the tavern while you guys have been in here. Nobody's entered or nobody's left this, probably 20 to 30 minutes Ardreth spent walking around the room and talking to different people.
Got it.
Jarl's gonna approach her at the bar.
Okay.
I'm assuming there's a seat open.
Oh yeah. There's a bunch. There's only a few people at the bar, but plenty of other extra seats.
Okay, so Jarl's gonna mosey up to the bar, and he is going to give as friendly and innocuous a smile as he can, and introduce himself. He'll say that my name is Jarral Baleg. What is your name?
She's kind of cleaning a mug, and as she sees you sit down, and she says to you in a gravelly voice, very deep bass like gravelly voice, Arzestra.
Astra. It's a very unique name. It suits you. And Jarral he'll ask for a glass of wine, and say it must be difficult running a shop in these parts. How to say that?
And you see her kind of turn from you a little bit, and she's grabbing what appears to be kind of like a dusty bottle that's behind the counter, and she has her hand on what appears to be like the stopper, the cork of it, and she's looking at you with a questioning eyebrow, obviously waiting for something before she opens it.
Obviously tongue-tied, he's going to just gesture to her, and he's going to gesture to himself. He said, "We are not from these parts. We do not generally associate with the humans, the dwarves. In such a," and he just gestures to the room, "in such an inclusive manner. It must be difficult to run this establishment right next to a garrison."
And she gives you a squinty-eyed look and says, it's only difficult if they don't provide money for what they have asked for. And then she kind of looks to the bottle that she has in her hand again, and then looks to you, waiting.
He just kind of chuckles sheepishly. My apologies. How much for the bottle?
And then she sets it down in front of you and says, well, that'd be a gold.
All right, and he will give 2 gold.
Yeah, and she takes each one, and again, just like you noticed when she had taken the Electrum from Greybeard, she kind of takes it up to her mouth, and between these enormous kind of molars, checks the quality of your coin, gives it a nod, and then places it in her apron pouch that's on the front that she's wearing. And then she goes back to cleaning mugs, and she says, soldiers are always good for business.
Oh, we are not soldiers.
And she chuckles and she says, no, yeah, I didn't think you were.
We like to think we have more tact than they do. And he tries to kind of smile disarmingly. We very much appreciate your hospitality, and we've come into town in search of somebody. We believe that he might be in the keep, but who knows if they will even let us anywhere near there. Perhaps you might have seen somebody come through with a similar description, and he'll describe the person on the wanted poster as best he can.
She looks to you, came through, like in the day, last week, came through a year ago? What do you mean?
Recently? Within... I don't know, when was there anything on the poster that indicated a time frame?
Nope, just read kind of what was on
Let's
it.
say the last few months.
Yeah, and she thinks,
No, not necessarily came through, but perhaps just stayed here.
like traveling with people, or
Well, we believe that he probably came alone. We don't know, but we have heard that he might be a cook or a food preparer, something to do with.
and this is your friend, and you don't know what he did?
Oh no, he's not our friend.
And she kind of squints her eyes at you. Not your friend, but you're looking for him, huh? So what did he do?
Did it say what he did?
Robbery and murder.
That's what it said?
Yep.
Okay. So we are on a task from at the Waterdeep, and looking for. He apparently is wanted for murder and robbery. We are seeking justice.
Wow, to come out this far, that justice may pay pretty well.
He glances at the wine bottle, and he will. He will drop. Give her an additional gold and the Electrum, 6 Electrum pieces.
And she kind of looks at it and looks at you and says, You adventurers and your weird coins that nobody else seems to deal in. But money's money, as she paws it, then puts it in her apron. I've not seen anybody that you've talked about in the last week or two or even month, but I definitely could keep my eye out.
Any suspicious stories that you might have, or fantastical stories even? Something
Well,
that
this
would not
isn't
fit
in.
the setting.
There's dozens of those.
Okay.
If you go into the woods, you'll, I'm sure you'll see fairies and pixies. Or those damnable elves.
How far are the woods?
An hour or two walk. Probably with your stride.
Do you have? Is there anywhere in the village to perhaps secure some horses?
The stables are right outside.
Okay.
You might be able to buy some from either travelers or the if there's any extra that are there.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time. Please keep an eye out, and if you do hear anything, please let me know.
Yeah, she gives you a nod. Goes back to cleaning the bar with her actually pretty clean rag that she's using.
He's gonna pour his pour a glass for himself, and then he'll offer if she'd like to partake in some of that.
Who?
As Astra.
Oh yeah, she kind of gives you a wave off. It's like, can't stand the stuff.
Been trying to get rid of it for years. No,
Yes, I know what you mean. And he just kind of glances toward the electrum pieces that she took, and he'll go back to the table with the bottle.
Okay. All right, so back at the table with your companions. Fire still roaring.
How's everybody else drinking? I'm
I use my mouth.
Yeah, but is your pint empty already?
Of course, I'm on my third.
Ah, nice, excellent. All right. Yep. At this point, it's been a while, so Greybeard is just in his cups. He's like, "Oh, mission! Unless somebody brings something up, it's one of my traits. Once I start drinking, it's hard for me to stop. So I'm just having a good time, like kick Ardreth's chair, like more songs, play something racy."
And I'll play some more.
Yeah, so the half hour goes by, hour goes by. You see kind of the same crowd. It seems like a couple of finish up dinner and then wave to the barkeep and they head out into the cold. And each time the door opens, it's a kind of a cutting wind breezes in. The fire flares and then the door finally shuts again and it starts to get warm again. And then not too long after, most of the people have either headed up to their rooms or have headed out if they were locals. And it's just your group sitting around the table drinking away.
So would anybody find out? We know where this guy is. And he's looking at you, Jarral, because you were up at the bar and...
No, unfortunately, we the Tavern Keep. Astra. She has not heard of anything strange that has happened around here, no fantastical stories or anything like that. And basically imparts what he spoke with her about.
Right.
I am thinking that perhaps if we cannot get into the keep, we may have to maybe look around the area. Perhaps, I don't know. It's an how far of a walk is it from here to the keep?
About 5 minutes. It's all of these buildings
okay.
are right around the keep walls.
Oh, okay.
Are any of the buildings close enough that we could use them to get over the wall?
From the front side that you've checked thus far, you didn't see any that seemed to be that close, though you've not really gone around the entire keep. You've approached it from the front, which is the eastern side, but that's all you've seen thus far.
So what you thinking? Turn into a squirrel, kitty cat, a kitty cat squirrel, climb the wall, take a look around inside.
Jarral just looks kind of strange.
We all just
at Greybeard.
Greybeard.
Edram could turn into animals. Come on now.
How many of those have you had?
A lot.
What? Tell us what you have found out.
I found out you guys are idiots. You haven't found this guy at all. Once we find him, I'll bash him over the head. 5,000 gold. We're all set.
And all of you can do a perception check real quick. You realize that he's talking in his very loud, drunk voice.
I don't realize it.
No, you don't.
Jarral is going to... He's a little exasperated with Greybeard at the moment. And he is going to he's going to get up and leave the table. And he's going to go to the bar again. And he's going to order an ale from Astra for Greybeard. And
he's gonna slip a sleeping pill in it.
How much is it?
Silver.
Silver. Okay. So he's going to do that, and he is going to pour in his remaining pixie dust into the beer, and bring it back to Greybeard.
That stuff never works. Alright, are we going to pixie dust? Because I'll drink it, that's for sure.
Yeah, you can drink it.
Okay, I got the pixie dust chart up.
Alright, so yeah, so Jarral will just put the beer down and just say, you know what? Do what you do best. Have another beer. And Jarral's gonna walk out. How big is the village? And how late at night is it?
It's probably now 9, 10 o'clock at night. The buildings that you can see out in the front area, you're seeing anywhere from 7 to 10 buildings, though you haven't really traveled around much.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Is that from the pixie dust?
I think so. I'm ready to roll it, but I'm letting you finish your scene. So.
He's you know what? He's gonna just kind of walk around the town just to kind of walk it off. Just kind of try and center himself. So he's just gonna take a stroll around town, try not to be obvious. He's gonna try and keep to the shadows and stuff, but just kind of walk around.
Edram will go with him.
Okay. Out into the evening.
Yeah, he'll probably head over toward the stables to see what the situation is over there.
Okay. So yeah, Greybeard. I already rolled for you.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
All right. So you guys see Jarral and Edram gather their gear and head out. What's the rest of the group doing? Then that's Ardreth, Greybeard's drinking his beer, and Rex.
I'm gonna stay with Greybeard, make sure he doesn't get himself into too much trouble.
Is this a inn with rooms, or is it just a?
Yeah, they have rooms available.
And it's dark now, right? It's getting to be about that time.
Oh yeah. All right. It's 10
I'm gonna
o'clock at
go
night.
over and see if did we secure lodging before we started drinking? Because I don't remember doing that piece.
Nope, nobody had.
I am gonna go over and try to secure lodging.
Okay. Yeah, to stay the evening, if you want a room, is a silver, and they have plenty of openings. It's not too many people are staying during the winter time here, and so there's plenty of room if anybody wants a room.
I'm gonna get a room and head upstairs.
Okay. So we
And
see
take a
Ardreth
pint with
head
me
up.
for the road up.
All right. Yeah, and the ale would be a silver. So however many you drink would be a silver.
Okay.
And then, so we see Ardreth head up the stairs, and Rex, yeah, it's actually just you and Greybeard at the table. There are no more patrons. The bartender is just cleaning stuff up and putting chairs on tables and kind of just doing the nightly cleanup, as it seems like most of the crowd has gone. And it's probably about just as Greybeard's kind of topping off his last drink, and it's taken him, probably 20 minutes since he actually got it. As you're looking at him, it seems like he begins to fade away, and then within moments, he is gone.
Okay. Wait, I see my own. I don't see me, right?
No, you don't.
Okay. I'm like, pixie dust every time. You know that stuff doesn't work. He says right to Rex, but he knows it. Well, he doesn't know that Rex can't see him. He's just not aware of it. So
I'm gonna give a confused look in the general direction where he was. I'm gonna lean forward a little bit, and in a hushed tone, I'm gonna say, "Why don't we go have some fun?"
Oh, I'm with you. Let's go. And I'll say it. Okay, no, I let's go, and I'll follow you out, or wherever you're going.
All right, and Greybeard, you can do a Constitution saving throw.
All right. Oh.
Yeah, you actually knock over the bench and the chair as you're getting up, and it kind of crashes to the floor, and you're kind of laughing a little bit as you begin to make your way whichever way you're going.
All right, I'm following Rex, or following Rex's lead.
How about we go take a stroll around the keep, see if we can find a way in.
Oh, that's a great idea. Okay, head for the door.
Okay. So yeah, you guys are out in the cold, and we'll swing back over to Edrim and Jarral, who have been out, and you guys have been. You're kind of out in front of the pub or the inn. What do you do once you're outside?
Charles gonna start kind of walking toward the toward the stables. I think
Okay.
she said that was like just outside the building, so that should be the closest thing.
Yeah, you can see him just over to the side. And yeah, as you approach, it looks like the stables have the doors are closed. There's like double doors where it looks like they bring in the horses, but there's also a regular sized door off to the side that seems to be closed at the moment. You don't see any light in there. You could do a perception check though.
All right.
And Edram too if you're following him.
Yeah, I followed along behind him.
Perception.
Yeah, you hear the stomping of feet, basically of hooved feet. So you can hear the horses. You get the smell. It's clear that there are horses in the stable that you can hear from the outside.
Okay. We can't tell if there's like enough for our group or not, can we?
No, you don't see any of them. You're just kind of outside. You know
Oh.
there are in there, but
All right. Any signs or anything that would indicate when they open?
no signs on the thing. You can just see hay strewn about, hay bales that are stacked up on the outside. There's a few, like there's a big watering trough on the outside that's frozen over at the moment, and looks like everything is inside. But there's no windows to the building.
Okay. Then he's going to continue kind of walking around town, I guess, to the next building to see what it is. Basically, to kind of get the lay of the village and see what, if there's any shops or, what's there, so that, we can kind of think about it overnight and in the morning, see if there's anything that would be useful in the village before we set out.
Yeah, so you're kind of wandering through the empty paths that lead between the houses, and most of the stuff is built around the keep itself. The keep has its own wall. Everything is quite a ways, probably a good distance from the wall. They're seeing dwellings that look to be like people's houses. You're seeing a few buildings that are probably shops of some sort. It doesn't seem like the village is big on signs, so it's not like you're seeing any signage on the outside of things, but you can tell that some of them are more part shop, part house of whoever actually runs the shop, versus just regular houses and dwellings. And there's probably 50 buildings all set up around Xantharl's keep itself as you wander around. And then probably about an hour as you're walking around and moving around between the buildings, and you've kind of done like a circle around the keep. Coming from the other side, you see Rex kind of coming the other way. So you guys went clockwise and they were going counterclockwise. You see Rex. And Rex, you happen to see in the distance a little ways Edram and Jarral coming your way.
Does he see us?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wave, I suppose, and continue walking up towards them.
Okay.
I didn't really get an indication of kind of what shops there were. We just that there are shops and they're probably shared dwellings.
Yeah, you didn't see what they were inside. They're clear that they probably are shops, but you don't know without going in to know what they're selling.
Okay. Out for some air?
You could say that. When I was walking around, did I see any way to maybe scale the wall or a nearby building to get into the keep?
No, none of the buildings are close enough. If you had a ladder, you could scale it. You could scale it probably with a rope. It doesn't look like it's something you could climb just barehanded. Maybe you could try, but you're not confident you would be able to climb the wall to do that. And you do see occasionally you see movement up on the walls of the guard that is patrolling the tops of the walls.
Jarral wants to do an insight check. That seems shifty.
You're going to insight check who?
Rex. See if he's up to something.
Okay, yeah, so go ahead and roll an insight.
No.
Yeah, you're not picking up on any... It doesn't seem to be trying to deceive you.
Okay. Well,
And I whisper.
go ahead.
Oh, I whispered to Rex, like, I could probably punch through the wall. It's a palisade, right? Not a stone wall.
No, it's stone.
Oh, oops. Yeah, I'm drunk and boasting then.
Was that a stage whisper or was that a whisper?
I believe it was a whisper,
Okay.
or I was trying to anyway.
All right. Jarral is just gonna say to Rex to enjoy the evening, and we'll see him in the morning. And he's gonna head back to the tavern and just kind of glance at Edram and see if he wants to walk around or if he's heading back as well.
Oh, I am also heading back.
Okay.
Okay. So Jarl's just when he gets back to he's gonna secure a room and go up to it and turn in for the night.
Yep, it's silver for a room. The main room is empty when you go in. The fire is kind of in a low coal, but when the door opens, you see Astra come out from the back, and then you're able to secure a room and then head up the stairs to an empty room.
Cool.
Edram, also it's a silver if you're getting a room.
Yep.
Yep. All right, so Rex outside with, you assume Greybeard somewhere around you. You can hear him every now and then a little bit.
So
What do you guys do?
We doing this? We sneaking in, or
Aye, let's do it. And I'm gonna wait for the guard who's patrolling to walk past us, and I'm gonna try and throw a rope and latch it to the top of the wall for us to climb up.
Okay. And so you have a rope, but do you have something that could work as a latch? Or how
I
are you gonna
have
try it?
I have a couple hand axes. Could I maybe tie it to the handle of the axe and then throw the axe up top?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, let's give it a shot. So we can try a athletics check as you kind of start twirling the rope that has a tied hand axe on the end of it, and you've got a nice secure knotted rope to it. So yeah, so you're able to, you kind of spin it around and you throw it up, and then let's do all right. Just need to look at a stat real quick. All right. So go ahead and roll a stealth check with disadvantage for me. Ooh, 14. Okay, so you kind of hear the clatter of the axe make a bunch of noise, and you immediately think that was loud enough that somebody might have heard. But the rope is secure. You pull on it, and it feels secure. It feels like it's caught the edge, and that you could climb up it, but it definitely made noise.
Okay, I'm going to try and like hide in the shadows, and I'm going to, in a lower hushed tone, say, "Greybeard, you first."
All right. And I will. I'll try to climb the rope.
You're still invisible, right?
Right.
Like he needs to hear anything else.
Yeah, so you can make an athletics check to climb the rope. All right. 19. Which isn't
Wow,
too
I'm
hard
drunk.
for you. But Rex, go ahead and make a stealth check. You're going to try to hide. See how well you do. So, Greybeard, as you get to the top, you hear leather foot soles padding as somebody is jogging up, and then as you get to the top, you realize one of the guards with a spear, and he's got a torch, has come running over, and he's looking at the axe. Doesn't see you, but then swings himself and tries to look over the edge, and Rex, that's when you kind of see above you. You were trying to hide in the shadows, but the torch kind of comes out over the wall, and you see the guard there, and he says, You, stay there! And then you hear an alarm kind of go off as he yells out to the other sentries on top of the wall, and more of these torches and guys carrying spear come running on the wall. And then within moments, you start to hear a bell from the inside of the keep start to ring.
I'm just going to walk away from the wall and just stand nonchalant to make it seem like I'm not trying to do anything suspicious, and I'll wait for them to act.
And I'll try to move away out of where the people are coming from.
How can this not end well?
Yeah, so Greybeard, you can go ahead and do a stealth check.
All right.
And you, as you're moving away from the first guard, you weren't watching behind you as you bump into the other guard that was coming from the other way, and he kind of falls on his butt. And he's like, "Hey, what was that?" As the torch kind of drops, and the other guards are looking around, and everybody is kind of searching a little bit. They still don't quite see you, but now there's quite a few people seem to be up on the tower at this point, and you can hear the gates opening. You can hear the porculus going up, being wound up, and there's definitely some type of guard response coming out the front gate.
Oh my gosh. This can't end well.
It didn't start well.
It didn't start well.
So while you're up there,
Okay.
the guard yells down to Rex, "Don't you move!" And you can see there's 6 other guards up there. They have their spears, they have their torches held high, so the place is pretty lit up. They've grabbed the rope and the axe, and the one of the guards is kind of winding the rope up. And then off to your right-hand side, you can see that the gates are opening, and outside of that, you see a group of 8 guards who have swords and shields come kind of charging out towards you.
I'm just going to stand there and not appear threatening in any way and just wait for them to arrive.
Yeah, so they come running up and they kind of ring around you, weapons drawn, shields out, and then they're kind of just, they're in a ring kind of around you for the most part. And then you see another figure who is just now coming out of the gate, and he appears to be in a little bit better armor, not wearing a helmet. Obviously an older gentleman comes walking up and says, as each of a couple of the guards move aside as he walks up to you, and hasn't drawn his weapon or anything, and says, "What in the devils have you woken me up from? Who in the hell are you?"
I just raise my hands, non-threateningly, and I say, "Gentlemen, gentlemen, I am but a humble patron visiting your town. I was out for an evening stroll when I came across this rope strewn from the wall. I decided, obviously, that there must be some evil afoot in this town, and being the swashbuckling adventurer I am, I decided to wait to see if any no-doers came by to use the rope. It was then that you found it and have accused me of some evil treachery, but it is in fact someone else. I am simply doing my civil duty and trying to protect the keep.
All right. So let's go ahead and try a deception check. You can make a deception roll.
Yes.
It's pretty high. And but the guard on top of the tower yells down and says, I don't know, Corvin. I heard this axe hit the wall. It couldn't have been just more than a moment ago, and here he is standing around. I don't trust him. And the graying-haired figure kind of looks at you. Well, let us invite our guest in for now then, and see if how his story holds up. And then you see the guards kind of one of the guards moves in and begins to reach for your weapons to take them off of your belt and out of your sheaths.
And Greybeard will start lumping along the top of the wall. You know, like trying to draw off the guards, but pretending to be stealthy, like the guards on the wall. So like, you know, to back up Rex's story. I'll make some noise as I move along the wall.
Okay. Yeah, the guards on the wall then turn towards the noise. The other guards finish taking the weapons from Rex and then begin to move you towards the gate. And they kind of keep you in the middle of them. Yep.
Can we hear the noises on the bottom too?
No, it's pretty high up on the wall. You don't really you see the guards turn, but you don't hear the noises that he's made.
Okay, gotcha.
And the guards start sweeping around, and they're looking for this whatever noise there is. And they've got their torches held aloft, and they're hearing something, but they're not seeing anything. And they're kind of rushing around on the top of the wall there, but they're not seeing anything as Rex is being escorted into the keep.
And once I'm a few feet away, I'll knock something over.
There's not really anything up on the wall. There's just guards at this point that you're seeing. Seems pretty sparse up here on the... It's only about a 4-foot walkway.
How about... If I drop something, will it become visible?
Yes.
Alright. I drop the moldy cheese. I drop a wheel of moldy cheese.
And where do you drop it?
Just like as I'm walking the edge of the wall, it like lumps out. I'll just drop it like on the palisade.
Yeah, and you hear you hear the guards yell out, "Whatever it is, I think it's invisible. Move over here!" And all of the guards with spear points out now start kind of sweeping in front of them with their spears as if they're trying to poke something or find something, and you're slowly being surrounded.
Did we hear that on the bottom?
You hear some commotion back towards the way of the guards, but you didn't hear the voices of what it was. And,
I'll just say, so what's going on up there?
Yeah, and you don't. They just keep escorting you, and they kind of give you the shove of keep moving. You'll be answering the questions, not asking them.
Alrighty.
And then the circle begins to get... They don't know quite where you are, but they are clearly within moments of poking you with a spear. Not enough. They're not like doing it as to kill. They're doing it more like they're trying to find something. So, but you realize that within moments, somebody's going to hit you with a spear.
All right, I will jump over the wall, and I guess I'll say something like, I try to not use my own voice, and I'll say, "Oh, Weevil strikes again," and I'll throw a handful of random coins out, like I dropped them as I leapt off the wall, kind of thing, and I'll leap off the wall, hopefully into some snow.
Yeah. So, all right. So you can go ahead and roll 2d6 bludgeoning damage.
I kind of figured. All right. Not 2d100. That would be bad. 2d6. Oof. Okay.
Yeah. And as you land awkwardly and you make quite a bit of noise, they realize they've heard the noise over the wall. They've all kind of moved to where your coins were, but also to the wall where they have assumed you've jumped over. And it's at that exact moment that your invisibility wears off.
Oh.
It was
okay.
only for an hour.
Okay.
And you hear the guards on the wall say, "There he is, dwarf! Dwarf, stand fast!"
Oh, I'm out. I'm gonna try to hide and run and hide.
Okay. So you hear a commotion on the wall. The yelling to the dwarf, you do hear Rex. And you see the human gray-haired man that he was addressed as Carvin, kind of gesture to the guards that are around you and say, "Take him to the cell for now. We'll question him. Get the other guards and get out there and find that dwarf." And so you see several of them, or two of them, begin to escort you into where the keep is, and the rest of the guards that had come out, so there's 6 other guards, take off back out towards the gate, and they give chase towards where the dwarf was last seen. All right.
As they grab me, I'll just say, "Easy on the good lads."
And they just kind of, they escort you down, and they don't, they're not overly aggressive with you. You've so far have cooperated, and it seems like it's put them at the, they're not trying to do anything but just follow their orders. Pretty professional. And they bring you into the keep, and you kind of go in through a side door area, which looks to be like where the soldiers enter, and you walk down some hallways, and they bring you to a room. They open the door. You can see that there's a lock on it, and inside is just a bed, a single bed, nothing else in the room. There's a bucket for obviously for waste, and they say, "Just stay in here. The commander will be back to question you, I'm sure." And you see them close the door, and then you hear the lock on the outside. And you're pretty sure that you hear 2 of them. You hear their boots. They sound like they're still outside of the door.
Okay.
So, Greybeard, you've got a head start at this point, but there are guards now sweeping through the town, shouting and looking for, and like, "Check over there, check under that cart." And they're making quite a bit of commotion. Every now and then you see somebody who looks out their window and then closes the shutters again. But what are you doing?
I do have my Barbarian speed, so I generally move faster than humans at this point, and I'm going to try to put some distance, and then I'm going to try to, like, I was heading north towards, like, Mirabar, that direction, and then I'm going to try to circle back around and stealth my way into the inn.
I hope it works out better than last time.
Yeah, so you kind of head off into the darkness out to the north of the keep, and you don't see anybody necessarily on your trail to the north. But even as you circle around, it's clear that they're searching the town, and you're pretty sure you're not sneaking into the inn.
All right.
How are you
Okay.
going to spend your evening?
I wrap up in my winter gear and I guess try not to freeze to death.
Yeah, it's pretty sparse out here.
So, yeah, if I don't think I'm gonna make it back into town, I will attempt to, I guess, find somewhere to lay low. There's no farms. The woods are a ways off, you said?
Yeah, at least an hour's walk, maybe 2.
Okay.
Yeah, it's mostly like just plains, and it's cold and windy.
Alright. Go. I guess I head off towards the direction of the airship.
Okay. So for the evening, we'll say you just have to find a spot to just, whether it's on the side of a hill or whatever it is. But go ahead and do a Constitution check with disadvantage
Okay.
as you kind of shiver through the evening. But you're still okay, so no actual exhaustion or anything. It was definitely a miserable night. You didn't get any exhaustion, but you also, it won't count as rest for you either.
Okay.
Not that
Good deal.
you needed it. All right. Halfway through the evening, those of you that are upstairs, you are rudely awakened as several town guard bang on the door. And if you answer quickly, then you see 2 guards that are standing out in the hallway. If you don't answer very quickly, they kick the door in and then begin to search your rooms. And they kind of look at you. They look under your bed. They look in the, just around your whole room, and then they seem to leave after that. And
So
they're
by all
going
means,
from
I
room to
answer my
room,
door
door to
quickly.
door. What's that?
I answer my door quickly then.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so it's just the 2 guards, and they kind of roughly push their way in, and they start searching around your room, and you hear one of them say, "Nope, it's not here. Let's go." And they kind of move out, and they're just going down the whole hallway of all the rooms, and they're going into every one of them.
And as the guards leave my room, I'll ask, "Who's not here?"
And the guard kind of gives you a gruff, "Mind your business," and they push past you.
The rooms are small, right?
Yeah, pretty small.
Okay, so Jarral will basically have the same reaction.
Yeah, you get they are pretty gruff. They push past you physically. They search. They pretty much ignore any questions that they're asked, and as they move, and it's clear they're searching the entire inn. And then they
Do
complete.
I see Ardreth in the hallway?
Nope.
Okay.
And
see
then
anybody in the
they
hallway?
kind of move off, and then they get finished, and they go stomping back downstairs. And you hear there's like a conversation with probably Astra, and then you hear the front door slam shut as the guards leave the inn. All right.
Well, that was certainly entertaining.
And then we move. Oh, go ahead.
I'll poke my head out, and I didn't see Jarral or Edram there.
You don't see anybody in the hallway.
Okay.
Jarral's
Alright,
gonna
I'll-
go down and
I'll
inquire
go back into my room.
with his Astra. Perhaps they would not tell us anything. Perhaps they told you something. What were they looking for?
Sounds like they might have been looking for your companion. She looks at you and kind of jingles the coin in her pouch. Seems your troublemakers come to the town. I didn't say anything to the guards, but I assume they'll find you quick enough. You might want to leave town before they do. And then she kind of turns her back on you and then moves back to her, back behind the bar. There was a door that leads somewhere else.
He'll nod. And thank her, and ask if we have until the morning.
Yeah, she turns her back on you after her statement, and she's pretty much is gone quickly, even before you're able to say anything more.
All right, so Jarral's gonna head back up and check in on everybody, see who's missing.
Yeah, so you get upstairs, and knocking on doors, you find Edram and Ardreth is all you find upstairs.
So, he's gonna gather them and pull them into his room, and he'll kind of gesture to Edram and say, "We were walking last night and we saw Rex heading away from the inn as we were heading back. I believe he may have gotten himself into trouble, but I'm pretty sure the Greybeard is involved. I cannot find either of them." And he just kind of gives one of those really sheepish looks and says, "And I fear it may have been something that I did." And he what he did.
You did what?
You know how Greybeard gets. He was being useless and drunk, and I'd had enough, so I thought I'd just spike his ale with some pixie dust.
So do you spike his ale every day?
No. Only when he annoys.
Again, do you spike his...
It was my last. It was my last one. Either way, I believe that this is something to do with that. My guess is that perhaps the pixie dust maybe rendered him invisible or something, because I did not see him with Rex, and both of them are gone.
So, should we go search for them tonight or wait till morning?
I believe we are okay until the morning, but perhaps we might look to secure some horses or something so that we can travel away if we need to get away quickly.
And on a side note, does this count as a death for Rex if he rots in prison for the rest of his life for a reroll, or?
Yeah, new character.
Yeah, because he's not technically dead.
No, and we'll switch over to our scene of Rex, who after, say, maybe just 20 minutes, you are brought out of that room and you're brought to what appears to be a kind of a chamber that has a large chair, and Carvin is sitting in the chair, and he's flanked by, there's a couple of guards at the doors. You can tell that the keep is pretty much on high alert, and there are people moving about, and it seems like they're searching the keep, they're searching the grounds, and you're seeing lots of people, like a rough estimate of numbers of people you've seen. Let's see, where's that? you probably have seen more than 100 soldiers at this point. By the time you've been moved from one room to another, the garrison definitely seems to be on high alert. There's a lot of people in this place. Way more than you would have thought looking at it from the outside. And so you're brought into this kind of meeting room area, and Carvin says, and he's kind of stroking a little bit of stubble that he hasn't shaved, it seems like, in the last week or two. So, what is your name?
The name's Rex. What would you like to call yourself, Mr. Carver?
And you see one of the guards kind of cuffs you on the back of the head a little bit, who's standing next to you, and he says, "You will call him Lord." He kind of says in a guttural voice next to you.
So, Lord Mr. Carver?
And then you get another cuff from the soldier, who apparently does not have
a little bit.
Yeah, does not have a funny bone. And he says, if you're hoping to get out of this, I would advise you not be flippant with me. How old is Rex?
Do you want how old he appears to be, or how old he actually is?
Yeah, how old is he actually?
I'm going with 68.
Okay, so he's an older guy. Okay.
Yeah. He looks really young, though. He probably looks late 40s.
Okay.
Early 50s.
Sneaking around outside of a keep in the winter, not a very smart move. What are you doing here at Xantharo's keep?
Well, first of all, I wasn't sneaking. I was simply on a stroll. Second of all, I'm in town for some business.
And this business has you out in the evening hour.
It does. It's the most exciting time of the day. Or night.
You seem shiftier and shiftier to me as you weave your answers and say nothing at the same time. You are not convincing me that you are of not a nefarious means. I will have you speak the truth to me.
I will gladly speak the truth. What is it you wish for me to speak?
Why are you here at Xantharo's keep?
1 second, hold on.
Sure.
And I'll say, well, if you wish to know, I'm looking for a Weevil. I hear there's some gold and up for his head. And I like gold.
And one of the guards says, "That's what that dwarf yelled out as he jumped off the wall. The same wall this one was found underneath.
Oh,
He's
no.
standing next to the rope." So now go ahead and roll a deception check.
Greybeard's the Weevil.
He's digging.
Yeah. And he says, Carvin kind of stands and he begins to pace in front of you. And it's clear that he's recognizing you're deceiving him. And he says, "I feel like you've lied to me twice now, Rex," as he continues to pace. "But I'm not unreasonable. If you will speak the truth to me once more, I give you one more chance. Do not dishonor me with another lie," as he looks to you. "Why are you traveling with the Weevil? And what was that dwarf doing upon my wall? And why were you helping him?"
Sadly, he was an imposter. He's not the real Weevil. He was my, as you could say, compadre. We were in searching for the real one.
And what makes you think this person is in Xanthar's keep.
I just shrug and I have no idea.
I think it was the.
It seems you're not very good at this, tracking down people or even lying.
I didn't say I was good at what I did.
And it appears that your compatriot has left you, ran out into the night trying to hide, though I'm sure we will find him by morning.
Perhaps.
I'm not sure what I shall do with the both of you quite yet, but I do not think you will be staying in Xanthar's keep for very long. And he kind of waves his hand and says, escort him back to the cell. And then the two guards that are kind of next to you, one grabs your arm and kind of moves you and begins to move you back towards the hallways that led to this meeting room. All right, and I think we will end tonight's session with Rex being escorted to a cell, our dwarf freezing out on the plains, and then our other group in the inn not sure what's going on at this point.
Yeah, shortly to be evicted.
And I think that's where we'll end for tonight, and then we will come back next Monday to see how this all turns out. If they believe Rex's story or not, if they're able to catch up to the dwarf or not, and what the other group does. So if you missed anything and you want to check it out because you came late or something like that, you can always check out the VODs on SirLucien's Twitch channel. So that's twitch.tv/SirLucien, all one word. Or if you want to check it out, I'll put it up on YouTube usually midway through the week. And you can check that out on youtube.com/SirLucien also. It's a way to find my channel. Hopefully you enjoyed tonight's adventure as our group begins to move northward. I guess on a side trip from their important mission of saving the world from the giants rampaging. I think we'll get to that eventually, but we'll see. So hopefully you join us again next Monday starting at 8:30 Eastern. Hope you're there. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you in the next one.